The template is there. It's in-house. Everybody understands where that goes. Why there wasn't more pressure put on for the Leafs to follow or for the Jays to follow, because you know what's there. You know what happens. Team wins, big parade, and you see, the ramifications of it for the next 2 years. You almost have 2 years of grace. I mean, the Raptors still are riding somewhat on the grace of that championship.
Well, tell that to Masai Ujiri.
Well, they are.
I mean, another job.
I think, but that's when things were bad, people would go, "Well, the guy in charge is the guy who built the championship, so he's going to figure it out." There's a grace period.
You're right. That's why Masai Ujiri is still a very marketable basketball executive.
Yeah,
because he's got that thing in his back pocket, right? He's got a ring around his finger. He's got an incredible trade history on his resume, and the last few years haven't gone as well. But he's also got a team here that has a lot of pieces and could be turned into something, especially in a wide open East. If things break their way, they could be a feel good story in very short order here. So it could also be a disappointment. I don't deny that that's a possibility as well. But you're right, man. It's there for them, but I think this is, if you're reading the room correctly, as Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, I think you understand that there's a real need here. There's a real need from the people above you for you to have success in this moment.
I think a lot of people, first of all, they said 2025 was the year. Most of the people we've had on in the week that you and I have done this show have agreed that this is the year. You push the chips into the middle of the table, you go for it, because things start to change next year.
Yeah, exactly. Things start to change next year.
That's reading the room.
And look, next year could be like last year, where you never really got off the ground. You never really found it. Right? it was kind of a disappointment from start to finish.
Yeah.
And you never really had anything going. And so, you had injuries, you had, just a certain malaise. You had the GM talking about guys being in their own heads at the plate with runners in scoring position. You had, nothing went your way. And so you just can't be sure when you're going to have your moment. You're right. And look now, don't look now, but the Yankees have a big storybook win last night. The Red Sox have been hot lately. It's not like it's going to be easy.
No, well, nobody says that. I think it goes down to the final game or two. And I guess the ultimate question is, the surprise element of the Jays. How does that track? Does it continue surprising, or does it sort of reach the level that, or a recessive level whereby it sort of evens out?
Yeah.
I don't have the projections on that, but somebody does.
I don't want to go all Michael K on you, but the run differential is still not great. And look, I mean, whatever that means, it means something, right? It means that they've been up and down. Like, you look at their run differential since May 28th, it's really high. You look at their run differential previous to that, it was negative, right? So, or not very positive. So, we know this team can get hot. We also know it can be very, very cold, frighteningly, chillingly cold.
Yeah, well, we've been there. So if you had to do a max, what would you, if you could, I guess, empty the till, get whatever you needed to guarantee success, not only winning the division, but going deep in the playoffs, if not all the way? What are the pieces for you?
Yeah, I think it would be much of what we discussed here, that you'd start with the 10-pole starter that you can count on to round out the rotation. You'd move on to a reliever, to your point, that the Steve Phillips' argument that put Hoffman in a better spot with another power arm back there that would make his life a little easier and maximize his effectiveness. And then you would go power bat, assuming that you just do not believe that Santander is going to be back and healthy and effective, and also assuming that you're going to have some fall off from these guys who filled that void that Santander has left there.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get Bam Bam Barger being what he's been for the rest of the season, or if you do, you be happy with it, but you just can't expect it. You can't plan on it. You can't plan on Davis Schneider and Lucas and the rest of this crew that has stepped up really big to keep stepping up all the time. Maybe they will, and maybe there's just a magic to this team, which would be great news. And you'd take that all day, but that still means you could add talent. You can add talent to the mix, in my view, without too much risk of upsetting that magic. And then the other one that we discussed for maxing out here and really going shopping with an unlimited budget, or not unlimited, but a very robust budget, would be the catching option, right?
Yeah.
Because Alejandro Kirk is essentially irreplaceable. Heineman's been fine, but the idea that you'd have a third option at catcher would probably be a nice piece of insurance.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So 2 arms, I guess, sort of a, I don't want to say utility bat because it has to have some pop, and sort of a utility catcher. Let's put it that way, a multi-purpose catcher guy who could float around and has a bat. So really, you're adding a bat and a half and 2 arms.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's maxing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was 4 players. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what are you going to need to give up for that? I mean, it's all going to depend on the various levels of quality of all those players that we just discussed. Seems like there's so many permutations and combinations that are out there. And the thing that's so hard to decipher is, who are the sellers? It's such an early trade deadline in kind of relative to the grind of the season that there's so many teams that probably aren't convinced they should sell yet. We were talking about Arizona.
Yeah, they're close enough that the numbers.
Zach Gallen.
The numbers get in the way.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go on a winning streak and you're in. But at the same time, if you don't, then you liquidate.
Exactly. So, hey man, it keeps. I will say this: it's great for the city, right? Like the baseball team's relevant. That we're talking about the minutia of this roster at this moment, instead of talking about blowing it up or talking about firing the guys in the front office.
Oh, the sell-off,
which may come.
Yeah, we had a bit of a sell-off last year.
Yeah. No, it's a great moment, but to your point, you got to maximize it.
That's why they're there. Really, it's not even a question to me that you're there. You said it was 2025. Go for it.
Yeah.
Or have the press conference in a couple of months and say goodbye.
I think those are the 2 alternatives.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Do you see it any different?
I mean, not if I were running the place, but there's been some quizzical.
Then it would be a double standard.
We had Eric Kratz on, former Blue Jay, earlier in the week, and he was wondering aloud how the hell, Shapiro and Atkins kept their jobs this long to begin with, so, and that's a former player perspective. I think a lot of us have wondered the same thing, but, they're getting good crowds out there in the newly renovated ballpark, which Mark Shapiro is certainly responsible for, certainly oversaw to a large degree. So you wonder, the level of unhappiness at the ownership level with the fact that they're selling good tickets on a regular basis. They're filling the place. It's a hot place to be, a fun place to be. It's a refreshed place to be, and obviously it would be a much more coveted ticket if these guys can max out the trade deadline and add further electricity to the air.
Jays are in Oakland, not in Oakland, and Sacramento against the A's on the weekend. Scherzer goes tonight. Raptors against Chicago, Summer League basketball. We'll get into that. That's on TSN 4 tonight. And, of course,